Thank you for being with us on the Feast of St. Justin Martyr. Our top story tonight, a victory for House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. The bipartisan debt ceiling deal now heads to the Senate after clearing the U.S. House by a wide margin with a sizable Democratic support. Let's get right to it and check in with Capitol Hill correspondent Erik Rosales, who has the latest. Erik?
Well, good evening, Tracy. You know, the vote was 314 to 117, despite a number of conservative Republicans actually voting against the deal. More Democrats than expected actually voted for it. Meanwhile, some members of the House Freedom Caucus are already talking about plans to replace Speaker McCarthy. Meanwhile, the Speaker of the House, he was all smiles immediately after the vote.
We decided that you had to spend less, and we achieved that goal. Is it everything I wanted? No. I think we did pretty dang good for the American public.
A feeling echoed by Senate Republican leadership and many Democrats.
On balance, I think they struck a pretty good deal. It's got permitting reforms, which is something we wanted, some work requirements. It's got clawback of funding from the IRS and from COVID. And so there's just a lot of stuff in here, and $1.5 trillion in reduced spending.
We could not allow that there be a default. We protected Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security and veterans benefits. That was our goal. We succeeded in that. I plan to vote yes.
But several Senate Republicans tell me they're voting no without amendments.
I'd love to get a vote on a package, on a bill, or on an amendment rather, that would actually reduce our trade deficit with China. I mean, take it to zero and bring those jobs back to the United States. I mean, if we could get that in the package, I'd vote for it.
This bill does nothing to reduce inflation. Nothing. Matter of fact, it takes the debt ceiling from $31 to probably at least $35 trillion. That's not going to reduce inflation.
My concerns are having to do with defense spending and the pressure we see from great power competition, the 87,000 IRS agents that are still in there. You don't see the push against the border.
Meanwhile, Speaker McCarthy's leadership days may be numbered if some Freedom Caucus members like Congressman Ken Buck gets his way.
I think what the discussion about the motion to vacate is going to happen in the next week or two.
That's right. He said the next week or two, so we're going to have to be following that story very closely. Meanwhile, Democratic leader Chuck Schumer, he said on the floor today that the Senate will remain in session until the bill is passed and sent to the president's desk. That means working around the clock, possibly throughout the weekend. At the Capitol, Erik Rosales, EWTN News Nightly.